There, that's better. Yeah, that's the right one. There we go. Hey, gang. So, today is my dad's funeral, and I guess I'm just gonna start talking. Say what's on my brain, because I've said this to my wife and kids enough, um, but I don't feel like I've said it enough. So I figured I'd come out here and start a stream and just kind of see, you know, see what happens. Um, but yeah, today's my dad's funeral, and I've told a lot of you over the years that there's been a pretty big gap in my relationship with my father. Uh, about 25 years to be exact, out of my 45 years of existence. Uh, and uh, in the end, I was able to see him, be with him, talk to him, spend a lot of time with my brothers and sister, who I hadn't really had a lot of time with either, between working and being between working and just, my family life. We all have jobs and families, so it's hard to get together. Um, but it was good. It was good. Um, got to spend more time with my baby sister and her husband Joe. He's a good dude. I always knew he was a good guy. He was always, always cared for my sister, so I always knew he was a good guy. But I finally got a chance to spend more time talking with him and getting to know him and realizing that he just fits in the family. He's perfect for me and my sister. Perfect for he's just a good fit for the family. He's a good dude all around. Got to see my little brother Lee. I haven't seen him in years, and I know that, Lee's got his family and he's got a lot going on. He travels a lot, but he's a good kid too. Uh, his wife and kiddos. Looking looking forward to getting to meet them. I've never met his family, so it'd be nice to to meet them and see them. Uh, and my brother Will, we live very close, and my brother Will is my brother, from our dad. It was my brother Will. Um, I was the oldest. Then there was my brother Will, and then my sister Des, and then my brother Lee. So, hey, Rob. But my brother Lee was the baby of us. Uh, and then, because my family we collect people. That's kind of the joke, is we collect people in our family. And my dad married and divorced 3 times. And in those, my brother Tony came into the picture. My brother Brandon came into the picture. Thanks, Rob. But my brother Tony is yeah, he was always there. He was always around, and he was one of those guys that, every time you needed something, you just ask, and he'd help. Um, and Tony and I have been able to, rebuild the bond, because, like I said, you know, in the last 25 years, my family scattered, and we, talked, didn't talk. Um, but, we've all come back together and gotten a lot closer over the last, you know, 2 weeks, 3 weeks that this has been going on now. Um, but the thing with my dad is, like, 2 years ago he had lung cancer. He beat that, And then we found out in October of this year that he had two lesions on his a lesion on his L4 and his L5 in his spine. So you're talking cancers in the bone. Um, and that was all that we had knew at the time, was that it was in his L4 and his L5. And he had been at home, and again, like I said, my brother Will and I didn't have um, weren't very well connected with our dad in over the last 25 years. But my brother Tony was always there and would always talk to him, and he said that something just hadn't been right with him for about a week, and he was concerned. So he called, or he took him to the hospital, and they took him from one hospital to another in Peoria, and that's where they found that they originally believed that it was cancer in his kidneys, liver, and gallbladder. So it had been spreading, obviously, um, and he they basically brought him in, and they had talked about getting him better and then sending him home. Well, while he was there, they were like, we need to do surgery to remove the lesions on your spine. At this point, my dad couldn't walk because of the lesions on his spine. He couldn't walk. Um, so they were talking, get him home, get him into physical therapy. Well, they had done chemo while he was there, and his chemo just kills your white blood cells. So his white blood cell count was going down, and um, they decided they were going to do surgery to remove those lesions. And when they took the lesions, they brought him back in from recovery, or brought him back into recovery, or from recovery to his room. And it seemed like things were going well, so I went home. Uh, uh, Actually, I take that back. I didn't go down for the first surgery. What happened was I was at home and got a message that they were taking him back in for another surgery because they believed he had a hematoma, because he could not feel his feet, he was basically paralyzed. I mean, he couldn't walk before, but he wasn't like paralyzed. He had feeling, he could move things, he just couldn't walk. But after the surgery, after he came to, he couldn't move his feet. They believed that there was a hematoma, or blood pooling up in the area. So they rushed him back in for another surgery, bearing in mind that he had just had chemo and had just had surgery, and a few hours later he was going back in for surgery. So I got that call and rushed down there. Um, I got down there and was in the room when they brought him back in from surgery. They said there was no hematoma, but they believed that when they removed material from his L5, they had the L5 maybe had shifted just enough to cut everything off down below that. So they went in and removed a bit more material from the other side of his L5 to try and bring it back into alignment so that he would have the feeling and everything back. And that did work. He was able to wiggle his feet after that. But they did say that going through two surgeries in his current state, so close together, it would extend his stay in the hospital. The issue is, over those coming days, he sounded good. Things looked okay. He was talking, not very well, but he was talking. But then he 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 started to have bad days, and it started to go downhill. And when it went downhill, it went rapidly. They found that he was, bear in mind again, had just had the surgery in his spine. They put two metal rods in his back, removed all that, the hematoma, or the lesions from his spine, and he still had the cancer. At the time, we believed in the gallbladder, kidneys, and liver. Then they went in and looked, and they said that he had sepsis, so he was septic, and that he was had pneumonia. So now he's got fluid in the lungs. His body is infected, and he has no white blood cells to fight any of this. On top of that, the organs in your body that filter out the stuff are currently battling cancer. So they're fighting against cancer, they're fighting to clean the system, and there's nothing there to help clean out the system. So he was on a downhill. And we had hope. Like everybody, you have hope, but we had hope that he would, you know, make it through. But as the days would kind of go on, and staying in that hospital for like a week, um, and just seeing him decline, um, it was hard to watch. And I came to peace real quick with, it's going to be his time. And I came to peace with it, and I wanted to be there to make sure that my little sister had somebody by her side. Her husband had to make sure that the kids were taken care of, so he was, in and out of the hospital and making sure the kids were taken care of. And Joe stepped up. Like I said, Joe's an awesome guy. Love that dude. But he was making sure that the kids were taken care of, and Sam was here, and she was holding down the fort to make sure that our family was taken care of. So again, like, hats off to my wife for stepping up in a big way, making sure that our kiddos were taken care of. And yeah, and then we were just there with him, and we kind of saw it. And all the family basically, when we finally got all the doctors on the same page to sit down and talk to us, they told us that if he comes out of this, he'd be looking at 12 months. Um, he'd be looking at roughly 12 months of life left. And in those 12 months, he'd be looking at, uh, if he's made it through this round of chemo and got better and got back to, stable condition, then he'd be looking at going into hospice care, physical therapy. So he'd be in a hospital doing physical therapy for, a few weeks, and then maybe get to go home for a couple of days, but then go right back into the hospital to restart chemo again. Um, And anyone who's had family go through chemo knows that every round of chemo is worse than the next round, because your body doesn't fully recover before you start the next round. So your body gets battered more and more. So we kind of knew that if he made it through this round, and he got better and he got out and he started this process, that the next round might be the one. I mean, it's just a reality that you come to, that the next one would be the one. And my sister, like I said, she's my baby sister, so this is her papa, this is her dad. Um, and of course, she wanted to make sure that he was there forever. But she's holding together really good, and I give her credit. I give my little sister's a tough little cookie, man. I give her credit. But when we got the 12 months of in and out, and this is how it was going to be, it was Thursday last week, so um, almost a week from today, my sister and my dad's fiance, I say that as I say that, but my dad's fiance, they were um, in the room with him when he said that he was done, he was ready to go. And the medical staff came in and verified. I think they had like 5 people go in the room and verify what he had said. And then after saying that, they turned off all the machines that he was on, um, and started his pain med cocktail to keep him comfortable. And he he fought for a couple of days. And when they did that, all of us kids came to the hospital, and we had some time with him to just talk to him and say our piece. and be with him. He uh, he he put up a fight, and it got to the point, and it may have been selfish of me, and um, I mean, we all grieve and go through things in our own way. So to some it may be selfish. To some of you, you may understand where I'm coming from. But I went in and I said my piece, and having to keep going back in there and seeing him like that, knowing that at any time it could be it could be the time, and having to say goodbye over and over and over again just started to weigh on me because I didn't have a relationship with him for 25 years, and then when he finally comes back into my life, it's to say goodbye. We're back in each other's lives just to say goodbye and to reminisce about the younger years and the stupid things that I did as a kid and how I pissed him off. And when he used to have a F-150 pickup truck, it was a Lightning extended cab, and it was the color was Bimini blue. I remember he used to always talk about the color was Bimini blue, and it had the Mustang 5.0 engine in it. It was a rear wheel drive. It wasn't four wheel drive, and I was just a teenage kid. And when Dad would give me the keys, I would go drive it and do dumb shit. So I remember always getting in trouble for dumb shit like, you know, the truck stood out. So when people would catch me doing burnouts and other stupid shit, he knew before I got home and he would chew my ass. But I would just, I guess in my kind of scrolling off, it just got hard to keep saying goodbye. I just got him back and I have to say goodbye. Um, so I told my sister and everyone around, I'm like, I've said goodbye for the last time. I will be here and support you, but I can't keep going in there seeing him like that and have to keep saying goodbye over and over again. It's just tearing me apart. I can't do it. It may be selfish of me for that, but I said what I said. I had my time with him, and I don't know. My sister was there when he passed. She was in the room with him. The nurses came in and had them step out so they could verify everything like they do. And then my sister and my dad's fiance had a chance to go back in and be with him there at the end. Um, I did talk to my sister while she was in the room with him the day he passed. Um, I had called her and she said, I'm in with Papa right now. And I said, okay. And she said, it's just me in here. I said, can you put me on speaker? And she did. And I told him, I said, Pop, I love you, but it's time to go. You put up a hell of a fight. I said, Grandma, Grandpa, and your brother, I said, your mom and dad and brothers are waiting for you. It's time to go home. And I heard him kind of take a breath, like a more pronounced breath. And then she took me off speaker and I told her I loved her and I said, just keep me posted. And a couple hours later, she sent all of us brothers a text saying he's gone. And like I said, I'm sure that at some point I'll have a longer conversation with you guys about this, but tell you guys more stories about my dad, the good, the bad, the ugly. Uh, but she sent us that text, and then we brothers just we kind of banded together to figure out what's next. Like where are we going from here? And the hospital already knew which funeral home to contact. So after his passing and after the family left, they reached out to the funeral home, made the sorry guys, um, made the arrangements to go get him and bring him back up here. And today is his funeral. At 1 o'clock today, I'll be at the funeral home with my siblings, to have our moments of time before visitation, and then the visitation will take place from 2 to 6, and then from 6 to 6:30 will be the services for him. And they asked me to do a eulogy, and I came home last night and I spent 12 hours trying to figure out how to write a fucking like a fucking eulogy for this man. And I said that no matter how I do it, somebody's going to think I'm being ignorant because I had a gap of 25 years that I didn't know him. You know, he had his wife and things going on there, and I stepped out. My brother stepped out because we complicated things, I guess. I don't know. We're just as kids, and apparently we were too much. So we stepped out, so that he could be happy and live his life. And in the end, he was hurt anyway. We thought we were doing what was right, and in the end, he got hurt anyway. And then there's so much I want to say, and I can't do it. I can't do it because I can't be that person to say the things about how he was hurt. Just know that my father was a good man. My father was a bad man, but in the end, my father was my man. Like, he was my father. He was the guy that brought me into this world, who gave me this name and brought me into this family. If it wasn't for the choices he made, I wouldn't have ended up where I am. If it wasn't for the choices that I made, it wouldn't have put me where I am. I have my loving wife. I have my large family. I took in his footsteps in so many ways. He was married 3 times. I've been married 3 times. He collected a bunch of kids along the way. I collected a bunch of kids along the way. There were some things he did that I learned from that I didn't do raising my kids. You know, some mistakes he made I didn't make, so I learned that from him. So there's that I did learn from him, and that's what, as parents, that's what we want, is our kids to learn from us, learn the good, and learn from our mistakes and not make the same mistakes. And I learned that from him. It just sucks. Like I said, I mean, I got him back to give him away. You know, I got him back and I had to let him go. But the big positive that came from this, and you got to find a positive in shit like this. You can't hang on the what ifs and the what I miss outs on. You can't hang on that shit. Like, the big positive that did come from all this is, I gotta switch to the other mic, guys. It's blinking. Hold on. There. But the big positive that came out of everything was is that I was able to, you know, uh, basically see my siblings, and we picked up right where we left off. You know, I mean, it was great to be able to see my sister, get to know my brother-in-law more, find out that he's, like I said earlier, he's like a perfect fit for the family. See my brother Tony, that, you know, he and I always seem to be the ones that, no matter when distance comes into play, we can pick up right where we left off, no matter what. Um, Tony and I are planning to start getting coffees a little more often together, getting up and hanging out a couple days a month, couple days a week, whatever the case may be. Um, my brother Will, hopefully I'll be able to keep talking with him. We've started a text group between, all of us brothers, and we included Joe in that. So there's all of us in that text group. I hope it continues to grow over the years. Even if we don't see each other, hopefully we keep throwing stupid shit in that text conversation, just to kind of keep that bond, keep that connection. Probably call my little sister, way more. Oh, not probably. I'm going to call my little sister way more often than I have in the past. Not enough to be the big annoying, the annoying older brother, but probably will be anyway. But but yeah, I I got a bunch of awesome, nieces and nephews. So it's just nice to be able to have the those connections, uh, and be able to kind of like rekindle those relationships with your siblings. And I know when this stuff happens, people always tell you it's never too late. Pick up the phone and call someone, text someone, something, and it's not. It's not too late. Like if you have that family member that you haven't talked to in a while, just shoot them a hey, how you doing? You know. Yeah. Let me just gonna kind of let me see here. Sparks, hey, thanks, man. Yeah. And Luke, thank you, brother. Just I didn't know what to do. I've been talking in the house saying the same things over and over again, and I know that my wife is there listening and supporting me, and I know my kids are there listening and supporting me. But I was like, I'm just gonna go out to the garage. And Sam looked at me and she's like, "What are you thinking?" I said, I don't know. Maybe I'm gonna play with some printers. Maybe I'm gonna clean something. Maybe I'm just gonna space out. I haven't been out here in 3 weeks because I've been back and forth to the hospital and juggling all that stuff. So I haven't been out here in a while. So I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. Maybe I'll stream. Maybe I'll talk to the internet. Maybe I don't. And I sat down and I was looking at everything. I'm like, man, this place is bad. How did I let it get like this? And I'm like, you know what? So let's stream. Let's just talk to my friends. Some of my friends want to know what's going on. Some of my friends are um, kind of curious as to where I am. So um, I figured I would just stream, and anybody who has time can come and listen into what I have to say. And for those who don't, hopefully they can, if they want to know, they can watch this later and kind of see where my headspace is and where I'm at. Um, Reverend, thanks, man. Thank you. It just sucks because it seems like I'm not saying this as a slap against my dad. Please understand that. I know that nobody can predict anything, but it just sucks that it happened the way it did and it fell the way it did because now my wife has been battling with the holiday season because she lost her dad in January, so it was just after Christmas. So we get into December and she's already, she was daddy's little girl, and when she lost her dad, it hit her hard. Um, and this time of year gets hard for her. So I've always tried to be the uplift, keep her happy, keep her smiling, uh, point out the good things, and now I lost my dad between Thanksgiving and Christmas. So gotta find out how next year's going to be an interesting year. I got to figure this out. I got to figure out how to keep that head high, keep my head up, and be able to lift her up too. Because I'll never ask my wife to be the strong person. If she needs to crumble, she needs to crumble, and I'll be that strong person. But now I have to figure out next year. I'm gonna have to figure this out because, like I said, we lost him between Thanksgiving and Christmas. He only got a 1 month gap, and in that 1 month, he went from not feeling well, not being good just before Thanksgiving to celebrating Thanksgiving in the hospital to then passing just before Christmas. So now I have to work it out in my head and figure this out because I have to be strong for my wife. I've done it for so many years. I have to continue to be strong for her. Uh, so if around the holiday season next year um, my streams get a little dark, I do apologize. There is no streams through the holiday seasons anymore. Uh, just understand that Dan's doing double duty, and I know you guys understand. I know you guys will still support me, and I got to be that asshole and say it. I did post some stuff about the financial burden right now. Um, I'm not asking for handouts, obviously. I'm just saying if you can, it'd be great. Uh, the 2 weeks going back and forth to the hospital wiped out all of my income. And my family isn't sure what's going where. I mean, my dad's stay in the hospital was insane. So we don't know where the money is right now, where his money is. Um, so we're not looking or asking for anything for that right now. But if I'm done, I can't do that to you guys. I'm sorry. I can't ask you guys. It's I'm sorry, guys. Yeah, built overbought. I don't know, man. There's just so much to deal with. We've got his house. Um, there's things that surrounded his house. My sister originally wanted to keep his house, but then there was some situations there that maybe later I'll talk about. But there was some situations there that made the house no longer a happy place for my sister. Um, so her and her husband will be putting it on the market. Um, so my dad's house will be for sale. Uh, my sister went with my dad. My sister went with my dad to, um, I guess a little bit of a story is when my dad got divorced for the last time, he was living in an apartment and my sister couldn't see him in that apartment. She told him that rent is just wasted money, um, and that he should probably try to find a house. He told her, if you feel that way, then let's go. And they started house shopping together. And they found that nice little house for him. Uh, and that was their thing. They went to look for that house together. They found that house together, and her and her husband Joe helped move him into that house after he got it. And he always told her that um, that when something happens to him, he wanted her to have that house, and that maybe one day her and her husband Joe could, downsize into it, after the kids all get older and move out, and it's just the two of them, that they could downsize into his house. None of us boys were ever going to argue with that because, daddy's little princess, we're not going to argue with that. That's our baby sister, and we're going to make sure that, she's getting the stuff that she needs and she deserves. So we weren't going to argue with that. So that was her hope, was that she would be able to keep that house. And when the kids got older and moved out, that they would be able to downsize into that house. And then her and Joe could live there in that house for, basically there forever. And there's just a lot of stuff that happens when someone's on their deathbed. Just a lot of stuff that happens that taints how you see things. And sadly, that happened to my sister for the house. And she went from, loving that house and wanting to be in that house later in life and spend the rest of her life there, to not even wanting to look at that house because of the situation and the way things played out. She just doesn't even, once all said and done, she wants to just walk away from it. And it hurts to know that that happened. And when the time comes, I hope that she's comfortable when the time comes, when the house is no longer an issue. So built over bought. Yeah, man, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I've been kind of like lost in my own world. So I don't know. Uh, when did Sandy lose her mom? If you don't mind me asking. So if you're still here, I tend to talk and people fade in and out, and I understand that. But and before anybody says anything, yes, I know what I'm doing is wrong. This is not right. And knowing what I know and knowing what my dad went through, but sometimes you just need a crutch. And right now is not the time to quit doing something that, not time. This is not the time to quit. There is a time to quit, and it ain't right now. At least not for me. I need to just kind of push through, and then we'll talk about me quitting this later. Since I have to update my medical records to indicate more cancer in my family. First part of November. Oh shit, brother. Well, send my condolences her way as well. Let her know, I let her know in smart ass Dan way, because smart ass Dan's still in her. Let her know that I feel for her, and I kind of understand where she's coming from. It wasn't my mother, it was my father, but a parent is a parent, and I don't know what her relationship with her mom was, but like I said, my relationship with my father was, I was a kid growing up. There was a change, and I talked to him off and on over 25 years, a few times. Um, and then uh, near the end, we had a few more. We talked a little more often, but not anything like most kids would talk with their parents. And then in the end, I was told, this is what's going on, and I got there, and I basically watched me getting him back to give him away. Yeah. Well, I'm glad that she, was able to have that relationship, and like I'm saying to everyone, you always hear somebody say it in this time, and it's true. It's not a cliche, it's the truth. Like, it's never too late to just send a text. If you haven't talked to a family member in a long time, especially your parents, your children, brothers and sisters, like, shoot them a text. Just, hey, what's up? You know, just reach out and talk. She was in the room when she passed. Okay. Yeah, like I said, some people will tell me that I was ignorant and, I was rude because I wouldn't stay by his side. But it's a roller coaster, man. It really is at that time. And when you're in it, um, that's when you get lost. Like, I wanted to keep going in there. I wanted to keep sitting with him, but it tears at you more and more every time you walk out of that room. Like I said, the day he passed, I still had it. I was still able to talk to him the day he passed. My sister was able to put me on speaker, and I told him, that I said, Grandma and Grandpa and your brothers are waiting for you. My dad lived the longest out of the three kids. Uh, Out of him and my uncles, he lived the longest, and he made it to 67. So it's kind of scary to think about, um, because then you start to do thinking on yourself, and you're like, well, my dad in my family, my dad was the one who lived the longest at 67. I had an uncle who passed away of a car accident back in the 70s. Um, he passed away in the 70s of a car accident. Then my other uncle who passed away from, uh, he was a big smoker for years, and it wasn't cancer that killed him. But I had an uncle who passed away at 64, and then my dad made it to 67. I'm 45. I'm going to be 46 next year. Like next month, I'm going to be 46. I'm starting to realize that 60s, I'm probably only going to make it into my 60s. I've only got maybe 20 years left, and I haven't said this to my wife. You guys are hearing it first. Like it's the realization that I only have maybe 20 years left. I mean, like it's just hitting me like right now that I may only have like 20 years left of life because of the family and the way things are working out. I may only have 20 years left. I may not get to see 70s. And even though on my mom's side they live forever, fuck do they live forever on my mom's side. My grandpa was 96, my grandma was 95 when they passed. I mean, I can hope that those genes pass through and that I can live a little longer. Maybe one set of genes will offshoot the other, and maybe I will make it into my 70s or possibly even into the 80s. But I mean, from a realistic standpoint, I may only have 20 years left. Fuck, that hits hard. That hits hard because, like, you think about how quick the last 20 years went by and all the stuff that you did or didn't do in 20 years, and now I've only got maybe 20 years left. Fuck. Shit. All right, guys, let's talk about something else. Um, I gotta distract myself. Let's talk about something else. Um, so what have I been missing? I caught some of Joel's stream last night. Let's completely pivot. Let's just what I miss in Joel's stream in the first like 5 hours because I wasn't there for the first 5 hours. I had other things I was tending to, as you know. So what was the first 5 hours like? I know I watched till the end. At the end there, I just laid there in bed and I was kind of trying to write the eulogy. And I talked with my sister today, and just to backtrack a bit, I'm not doing the eulogy because it's something that my sister realized it's something for her to do, which I support. But anyway, you didn't win anything. Me neither, Reverend. Me neither. In the end, there, I only entered for a few things that I thought would be kind of fun. You know, maybe after all this, it'd be kind of fun to kind of dabble in, um, like the little robots there at the end. Um, Thought they'd be kind of cool to get one of those, and then maybe I could build it and take it to work with me and show it to the STEM classes and see if it'd be a project they'd be interested in. But I don't have the money, and I can't convince the school to buy things that I don't know anything about because it's hard for me to support something I don't know. So I figured maybe I'd reach out to them after the first of the year and see if they could send me like a demo kit just so that I could maybe build this little robot and bring it to work and then show it to them, you know. You missed it? Yeah, I know what you're saying, man. I know what you're saying. It's hard to, watch a stream where, you know, That's the whole premise of the stream. Like you want some content, and I get that. I get that. But yeah, so like I said, those little STEM robots that they showed at the end there, where David was with the group. Like I said, I thought it'd be kind of cool. So I'm gonna talk to Joel and see if he can talk to the guys and see if they would be interested in spot like just sending me one unit for me to kind of build it and then take it to play around with it, learn how the thing works, and then I can bring it to the STEM teachers and say, hey, this is a project. These are the prices of the kits. Did you want to maybe get some of these and introduce robotics into at least into the high school classes? See if it'd be something she'd want to do. Maybe if they send one, maybe they could send me like two or three, and then I can give one to the STEM teacher for her to the high school STEM teacher for her to kind of build and play around with too. So that'd be kind of cool. And I know Sam had mentioned something about getting me a Death Racer kit a while back too. So maybe I'll reach out to Sam and see if I can get one of them Death Racer kits so I can build one and see if we can introduce that as well uh, into it. Or maybe even then I could start like a robotics, like a not necessarily robotics, but start a little group at the school, and maybe we could convince people around to get us money so that we can start a club, and then we can build some Death Racers and start like a school club, you know. And then maybe if some of the other schools see what we're doing and they're interested, maybe they could, set up some kind of a program as well. And then we could get like some local schools involved and maybe have, like Death Racer battles, uh, like one night a week at the schools, and do our own little like ranking system with the schools around us, and maybe help it grow in the education. So that'd be kind of fun. Purchased an A1 about a week and a half ago. Nice. Yeah, I would like to get a bamboo back in the collection, so that'd be nice. Partnering with another Twitch streamer to make custom Death Racer. Oh, that'd be awesome. That would be awesome, sir. If you do, let me know. I think it'd be fun. I definitely want to support you and you and the missus, man. So if you guys do something like that, let me know. I uh I do think that after the first of the year, I'll be going a little more ham on um, the streaming and getting this office cleaned up, and probably going to at least for a while, I'm going to put the rehab project on hold, kind of work on what I've got here in house and get that done. Uh, get the printers that I have here up and working and give those away, and then maybe when I'm back in a little bit better place, we'll start reaching out for more printers again and start rebuilding those and getting those out to homes. So for right now, I'm gonna respectfully decline any new printers at this time, because right now I have a lot of stuff here I need to get done. I've got kits I need to finish building, printers I need to work on and get working. And then, yeah. Also have a strange design coming out this week. A kind of annoying gift box. Well, that'd be pretty sweet, dude. I can't wait to see it. It'll be interesting. Trying to add lights to the annoying gift box. It's pretty cool. It'll be interesting to see. 3D Printing Viking, what's going on, brother? Long time no see. Yeah, hopefully you're doing well, man. Hopefully all's going good. Um, Guess I do have to say I was not expecting when I said hi to Joel. I wasn't expecting him to do what he did during the stream, so that meant a lot, for him to, you know, throw his condolences out there. So that was awesome, and I did really appreciate everybody in chat and all the kind words they were spreading. So that was pretty nice. I definitely appreciate that. But like I said, it's I'm circling back. You guys know me, and it's just it's hard, you know. Trying to keep the head up, trying to stay tough for the family. I know my wife and kiddos are trying to do the same for me, and I appreciate them. You know, I appreciate them for that. So, but I've just always been used to being, the tough one, the one that's always making sure that, you know, they're when they're down, I'm up. You know, trying to make sure they're taken care of. So, is this plugged in? Plugged in, but it's sorry. World raining. There we go. That charger just hits it hard, messes it up. But yeah, I'm just all up in my head right now, guys. So, and then my epiphany moment there while I was talking to you guys definitely is, scrambling the brain a little bit more. So, yeah. Thank you, brother. Thank you. I like I said, it's 10 o'clock right now. I have about 2.5 hours before I have to head to the funeral home to meet up with my sister and brothers and whoever else in their family is going to be there. My wife and daughters are going to come at, going to get there a little before 2 o'clock, and then visitation starts at 2. But so my wife and daughters will be there a little bit later. I'll be there first, and yeah, we'll kind of go from there. Um, I don't know why I I don't know why I'm doing a lot of stuff I'm doing right now. My brain is just in a kind of like a haze. I mean, hell, I went to work yesterday for half a day. I should have not have, but I did. But yeah, I went to work for like half a day yesterday, um, which was fine. It distracted my brain from some stuff. Then last night, I went over to my sister's house, brought some old photos that my mom had of my dad when they were together, and we just went through a bunch of old photos and old stuff that he had in the house, just trying to find some things. Um, my dad wanted to be a truck driver when he was younger, but he had a family, so he worked at a company called American Nickeloid. Um, they did uh, they did stuff with metals and like coatings, putting different types of coatings and stuff on metals. And for a while there, he worked in the chemical cleanup, so he had gotten sent out a lot for different trainings. Uh, but yeah, my dad had been there for 40 years. They actually retired him out. He didn't want to go, but they retired him out. But he always wanted to be a truck driver, so he was always fascinated by semis, big rigs, things like that. Always kind of surrounded himself and associate like surrounded himself when we were younger, especially with like people in the trucking industry. Um, There was a tow company near us that he was good friends with them, so he always loved going and seeing when they had like the big the big tow trucks that would haul the semis. He would love that kind of stuff. Um, his favorite place to go was always the truck stops to eat. He always loved to hang out with the truckers and hear the stories they told of, travels and trips on the road. Um, but he always enjoyed the truck stops, hanging out there. Coffee with the guys, hearing them stories. Um, and for a small stint, the old man tried to get his pilot's license, but my dad has a fear of heights. My dad's always had a fear of heights. Like he does not do heights at all. And he actually went up in the plane several times and flew. He just never got his pilot's license. So maybe I can get my pilot's license. I have to see how expensive that is. We know I can't afford to do shit. So, but maybe I can get my pilot's license. It'd be fun. I've always wanted to I've always wanted to fly too. I always wanted to get my pilot's license, and I actually called around a few times over the years. So I guess the apple don't fall too far from the tree. Like I said, he's been married 3 times. I've been married 3 times. He collected kids. I collected kids. You know. So again, I mean, if you've read his obituary, I mean, the guy had 27 grandkids and 1 great grandchild. That's a lot of damn kids. You know. Yeah, I'm gonna go talk to because I have always wanted to get my pilot's license and I don't know like the financials now, but I think what I'm gonna do is um, talk to the same flight school that he went to and just see. I mean, it'd be something fun to do, get your pilot's license. Not that I can afford a plane, not that I can afford the classes, but it'd be fun to get to get my license and then maybe along the way make friends with people who have planes and see if they'd let me take them. Not take them, but like borrow them once in a while, take them up and go do some flying. It'd be fun. Granted, I'm old. I'm getting older, but like I said, the realization I just had, I ain't got much time left. If I want to do something, I guess I should probably do it, huh? As for a plane, look into the Cub Cadet. Yeah, those little things are nice. Those little Cubs. Yeah, I have been watching Cletus McFarlane, and he's got a little Cub, and he loves it. And they're a small plane, quick takeoffs. Doesn't require much space. Who knows? Maybe we'll have a help me get my pilot's license fundraiser stream one night. Who knows? Maybe I can, you know, stream from the skies. But yeah, I think since that was something he wanted to do that he didn't do, and it was something that I was interested in, and I do get motion sickness, not gonna lie, but I think that might be a cool thing to do, and that'll be something for me because it's something I wanted to do, but it'll also be something that he made a go at it. So I found his flight logs yesterday from when he was in flight school, so might have to steal that from my sister and keep that one for myself, especially if I do go through with it and go to get my pilot's license. Be nice to have the old man's student flight book. Be kind of a nice little piece to keep. So, yeah, built overbought. Yeah, I think you're probably safer on the ground, man. Just throwing it out there. If that's the record you got going, I think it's probably safer you stay on the ground. Oh, but yeah. Um, Recently seeing a lot of those YouTubers enjoying their helicopters has made me want to do that too. But I think probably an airplane might be a good way to go. Start there, and because helicopters are way more expensive than airplanes, and I'll never be able to afford an airplane, but hopefully I can make some friends, like I said, make some friends along the way, and maybe they let me borrow their plane from time to time, or I can do something with it. Once I get the license, maybe I can find something to do with it. You know what I mean? Uh, Maybe one day you guys and I find like an awesome plane somewhere that just needs a lot of TLC, and then I turn these streams into watch me rebuild my airplane streams. Who knows? Yeah, built over bought. Yeah, I can understand where he might not find humor in those kinds of jokes, especially if you're in the air when you make those comments. But if I do that, it is going to be primarily for me, because it is always been a goal of mine. I always wanted to be, wanted to learn how to fly, wanted to be a pilot. So it's always been a goal of mine. But knowing that my dad had some interest in it at one point will be nice. And the cool part is I'll know that obviously, since he's not with us, he's still watching over us. So I know he'll be there with me. So so that'll be cool. Maybe we do that, and maybe depending on during my lessons and everything, depending on how things go, maybe I'll be able to stream from the plane, and you guys can kind of just listen in to what I'm doing and what I'm going through. So maybe we can have some fun with that too. And if not, at least after I get my license, if I can ever take a plane up, I can bring you guys up with me. You know, uh, then you can all say you got to fly with me. So that could be fun. You know, maybe I do that stuff over on the Daily Life of Dan channel. So I can kind of keep this one more 3D printing related, and over on the Daily Life of Dan channel, you guys can um, see that, because I haven't done anything with that channel and I need to. Probably this stream could have been over on the Daily Life of Dan channel too, but it's over here. So maybe that'll be a way to kind of breathe some new life into that channel. Built over bot, you're not allowed to put your hand on the stick, bud. You're not allowed to touch the stick. 3D print a plane in metal. That would be pretty cool. I don't know if there's any companies with a big enough 3D printer to make those parts, but that would definitely be kind of cool to have a 3D printed plane. That'd be pretty sweet. Somebody did something. My wife left or my daughter left or something. See who took off on me. My phone just went off. I'm sure you guys heard it. Let's see who did what. Because I heard a car, so. Jacqueline left. Olivia left home. So my daughter Lulu, the one that comes out here and tells you guys all the funny stories. Yeah, she went somewhere. I can't get this thing to zoom in far enough, but apparently she took off with somebody else in the family because she can't drive by herself yet. So, but yeah. Hey Zolan, what's going on, brother? Good to see you. Z, I'm not. Thanks, brother. Thank you. It's been a rough hour of me streaming. There's been a lot said, um, but if you get time, brother, and you want to know more, I don't want to go back and rehash. We've all lost somebody. We know that it's hard to kind of keep going back. Um, but if you want to know, brother, please go back and watch this afterwards. Um, I'm probably gonna wrap this up pretty quick. I gotta get a shower and start getting myself ready to go. I got about, like I said, I gotta leave about 12:30 to head to the funeral home. So, yeah, yeah. Zolan, you and I probably got a lot of common stories to tell. Um, like I told these guys earlier, it was about a 25-year gap from when I spoke with him on a regular basis to seeing him in the hospital. Um, and yeah, it hits hard. It really does. Um, I like I said, uh, you get them back just to have to let them go. You know, you get them back just to let them go. And yeah, he put up a hell of a fight in the end. And uh, like I always say, please understand that I grieve through humor. So if I make a comment that sounds like I'm being mean or rude, understand it is meant to be funny because I grieve through humor. And my dad, uh, my dad was an ass in the end. Like typical Randy, just stubborn ass in the end. Like he said on Thursday that it was time to go, and he didn't go until Saturday. So, you know, love him, but he was a stubborn ass. He so damn indecisive. He's like, yeah, it's time to go, and then waited till Saturday. He's always fashionably late. You know, your dad lost his mind literally. I'm sorry, brother. Sorry about that. I mean, I'm glad he, the one thing that you can always hold true, or one thing that always holds true is they're no longer suffering. When they pass, they're no longer suffering. And your dad, lost his mind, and he's now clear. He's now clear. Everything is, all the stuff that was in there that was causing the issues is no longer causing those issues, and he's free and clear and no longer in pain. My dad was battling cancer and sepsis and pneumonia, and you know he's no longer fighting any of that. So he's at peace, and that's the important part. He's at peace, and it hurts, and we will learn to deal and move forward. That's the joy of life, right? Is our ability to learn to deal and move forward, I guess, right? One of the many joys of life. Yeah, that's kind of the route my dad was going down. Z. He ended up with I guess he had bone cancer. It was in his L4 and L5 in his spine. Um, and then when he got to the hospital in Peoria, they found it in what they thought was kidneys, liver, and gallbladder. It ended up not being in his kidneys. So my assumption is when they did their scans and looked, maybe he had kidney stones at the time and had passed those, but it was still in his gallbladder and his liver. His kidneys were shutting down. He had gotten around to chemo, so his white blood cell count was zero. Um, so he had no white blood cells to fight the fact that the cancer was kicking his ass. The chemo, um, like I said, took that out. And then on top of that, when he ended up septic, he had sepsis and pneumonia. His body had no way to filter anything because his kidneys and, well, his liver was battling against the cancer and his kidneys were shutting down. So he had nothing to filter anything out. So yeah, he was just on a downhill spiral, and the doctors said that if he pulls through, he's looking at 12 months, and it's mostly hospice care, hospital stays. Um, it'll be around a chemo, 4 to 6 weeks in the hospital, get out of the hospital, go straight into hospice for physical therapy, which will be weeks there, to then turn around and go back into the hospital for a round of chemo in another 4 to 6 weeks. And every round of chemo, your body is weaker and weaker. So if he would have pulled through on this one, he most likely would not have pulled through on the second one. And if he, for some reason, pulled through on the second one, the likelihood of the third round would have been the most likely the fatal round. So the fact that he, went now instead of having to suffer through all of that is good. You know what I mean? It is good. There is good there. You know. Yeah. It his last day, I came home Friday night. I was in the hospital Friday. Uh, we went in. We went in Thursday after he made the decision. We went in. We all had our goodbyes. Um, and then me, my brother Will, my brother Tony, and my brother-in-law Joe, the four of us, stayed in the hospital with my sister Des and my dad's fiance. We all stayed in the hospital. The four guys, us four guys, let the girls be in the room with them, and we went to. They have a larger waiting room with like fold out chairs and like beds, and we went to the larger waiting room in the hospital, and we told them, if something should happen, call us, text us, we'll come running across the hospital to you. Um, Otherwise, we'll be over there. And us four guys just sat around and told stories and bonded all night and got to know Joe better. And then Friday, he was still with us, and we stayed for the morning, and then into the late afternoon. Um, we all went home. Left my dad and his fiance alone. My sister and we all went home for the night. We said if it happens, let us know. Um, then come Saturday, he was still here, and my sister was like, "I'm going back down." She went down. Her and my brother-in-law, they went back down, and my sister, I called her on Saturday just to check in with her and see how she was, and she told me that she was in with him and that it was just her. And I said, "Can you put me on speaker?" And she did. And again, I told him this was probably around 11:30, 12 o'clock. I told him that grandma and grandpa and your brothers. I said they're waiting for you. You know, you put up a hell of a fight, but it's time to go. It's time to rest. Be at peace. And then at just about 2 o'clock is when my brothers and I got the message that he was gone. So the stubborn ass took his time, and he showed up fashionably late. So I'm sure my grandmother and grandfather were chewing his ass because they were hungry. Italian families, it's always a big pot of tortellini sitting on the stove. Ravs, for those who call them ravs, but big pot of tortellini sitting on the stove, and they were probably waiting. So, but yeah, so at least before he passed, I got to tell him, that I loved him, and it was time, and I at least got to say that, before he went. So, but guys, yeah, about 2 hours before I got to head out, I need to get a shower and try and put myself together and get ready to go. Um, I do love y'all. I thank you for your time, and we'll see. We'll see when I can uh, get the brain wrapped around streaming again. I'll come back and do some streaming, but yeah, yeah. But again, I'll talk to you guys all later.